Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we have taken a topic that is auxiliary verbs. So in this video we will discuss about auxiliary verbs. First we will go to the introduction of auxiliary verbs. What are auxiliary verbs? Then we will see different types of auxiliary verbs. And then after that we will go to the usage section, how to use these different auxiliary verbs. And in this video we won't be able to conclude this, then for that you need to go for the next video, which will be very shortly uploaded. Hope that you will enjoy this session. So auxiliary verbs, which are also called as helping verbs, they are actually function words. They are a closer group class which constitute of words that have a grammatical function, and they are an open class of lexical verbs. Actually, an auxiliary verb is used to add functional or grammatical content to the information expressed by another verb, considered to be the main verb. That's why we call them as auxiliary or helping verbs. So you need to remember that auxiliary verbs, they help us to understand the information or the idea expressed by the main verb, and they are also called as helping verbs. For example, we see here, I am writing a book. Here the word am, which is bold, is an auxiliary verb. He has done the work. We will be there in a minute. Would you help me with this homework? Can you open the door? Did you visit New York last holiday? Do you like chocolate? They must get there on time. So in these examples, we see here we have got am, has, will, would, can, did, do, and must. These are different these auxiliary verbs. So we will see different types of auxiliary verbs. We have got am, was, has, do, will, shall, can, may, be. We see that we have got is, where, have, does, would, should, could, might, been, or had, did. Or we see like this, we have got must and being. So when we see here, we have got am, is, or, was, where, has, have, and had, do, does, and did, will, would, shall, and should, can, could, may, might, must, be, been, and being. These are different these auxiliary verbs. They are almost 23 in number. So now we will go to the usage, how to use these different types of these helping verbs. Negative statements and questions. First we will see that how to use these uh, auxiliary verbs in negative statements and questions. We see that in many languages, changing a statement to a question isn't easy as changing your reflection or punctuation. For example, I have cited here a Spanish example. You can see illa halba iglis, or you can ask illa habla iglis. The word order you see here, it doesn't change. Here we see here and then here. The word order has not changed. Then in English, however, the statement is, we can see she speaks English, whereas the question changes to does she speak English? So English question almost always use an auxiliary verb. So in statements which have got questioners, we use auxiliary verbs. Or we have got negative statements in English, they also generally use an auxiliary verb. We can't just say they liked the soup. We have to arrange a bit, adding in the past form of auxiliary verb do to say did they like the soup. Here, did they like the soup? So this is something about these negative and statements and questioners. Now moving forward, now we will go to the do, does and did. We see here do is common for forming questioners, as I have already told you, questioners and making negatives. Did is used for do and does in the past tense, these tenses. Do and does is never used for the past. We see in statements here, I am 21. It's a statement. Now in questioners, am I in the right place? Here, the in negative sentence, I am not. Yeah, I aren't. In statement you see, you are Indian. Are you my new boss? It is in question. Now going to the negatives, you are not. So you have seen the usage of these do, does, did. In statements how to use them, in questions how to use them, and then in negatives. Now moving forward, we are waiting. Are we nearly there? Then we are not. Now moving forward, they are excited. Are they the best players on the team? Then they are not. So the next example is he or she is cool. Is he, she old enough to go to bars? He, she is not or hasn't. So this is about the usage of do and does. I will repeat it. It can be used in making statements, making questions, and then making the negative sentences. Then we have got be, which is used in the form of am, is, or are. We have got here be. When we elaborate this be, we see that we have got am, is, or are. Be can be used as an auxiliary verb or the main verb in a sentence. It tells us that an action is happening now or it is going to happen in the future. It is used to make passives, or we see or is used for they and we. Was is used for the past tenses of am and is. Where is used for the past tense of you, we, and they. Now we will go to the examples. In statements, I do my homework. Then in questions, do I know you? Then in negatives, I do not. So these are some examples. Now we will just quickly move forward. Have and had. Have is used to make the have. It is sometimes used as has or had. It is used to make the present perfect tense. It is always followed by the past participle. So whenever you use this have, so it must be followed by the past participle. Has is used for the third person singular. So when you use has, it is used for third person singular. So you need to note it. Had is used for past tense, especially for the past perfect tense. So whenever you use, it should be past perfect tense with had. Then it describes an action that began in the past and continues into the present or that occurred in the recent past. For example, we have got here, I have a dog. This is a statement in negative. I have not or I haven't. Then you have something on your shirt. You have not or you haven't. Then we have seen it before. We have not. Then they have called me 3 times. They have not. Then he or she, here we have used has. He or she has lived in America. Then in the negatives, he or she has not. So this is about have and has. Now others, we see that some other auxiliary verbs, as we say can, could, may, might, or must, ought, should, and would. These are some other auxiliary verbs. They're also known as, we see that when you discuss about modals, so we also call them as modal verbs. We use them to show obligation, possibility, and necessity. So whenever you want to impress upon the obligation or possibility or a necessity in a sentence or in a statement, so you can use these modal verbs. So this was something about these auxiliary verbs. Although we have not finished it, I hope that you might have enjoyed this uh, video session. So with this I take your leave. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.